So coming out of the 12-round war that was Nick Ball v Sam Goodman at featherweight for the WBA featherweight world title, which a fight that was an absolute war, a fight that was very competitive, a fight that a lot of people, a lot of people may have scored that for Sam Goodman. In my opinion, I didn't. I felt that Nick Ball had done just about enough throughout that fight to take the victory. And for the most part, I do see that as the general consensus online, that Sam Goodman put in a hell of a performance. Sam Goodman boxed very well, but at the end of the 12 rounds, I think Nick Ball done enough to retain his world championship. But both guys are in interesting situations now, because Sam Goodman, this was a bit of a coming out party for him, where a lot of people weren't familiar with his game. A lot of people only knew Sam Goodman due to him not fighting Naoya Inoue when that fight was booked. I think in 2024, that fight was booked for, and then Sam Goodman got an injury and he pulled out of that fight, and then they didn't try and make the fight subsequently, and Inoue's moved on, and now Sam Goodman's at featherweight fighting Nick Ball. But I think it was generally expected that if that fight was to happen, Naoya Inoue would have just ran through Sam Goodman. But Sam Goodman put on a hell of a performance against Nick Ball. And I'm starting to think, if those two were to fight, that could be a very competitive fight. I mean that for all three guys. I mean that for both guys. I mean that if Nick Ball was to fight Inoue, that would be a very close fight. And I think if Goodman was to fight Inoue, that would also be a close fight. But that being said, Sam Goodman is another fighter that Nick Ball has fought that has spent the majority of his career as a super bantamweight. And Nick Ball's got 3 current title defences, I believe. And this one against Sam Goodman and his last one against TJ Doheny, both of those guys were super bantamweights for most of their career. Now, if you watch that fight, you look and you see Sam Goodman filled out very nicely for a featherweight and looked a lot bigger than Nick Ball. But Nick Ball isn't the tallest. He's quite a short boxer. But he boxes that style, uses that to his advantage. But that does make Sam Goodman look big. And Sam Goodman was big. Don't get it twisted, he was big. But that will be the criticism of Nick Ball, that 2 of his 3 title defences have been against guys who are predominantly super bantamweights. But it was a good win for Nick Ball and showed that he's got grit. I mean, we already knew that Nick Ball was a tough guy. We already knew Nick Ball always comes to fight. He comes to apply pressure, throw his combinations and do it for the entire distance of the fight. And, never really take a step back. And he's just foot on the pedal, right? We know that. That's Nick Ball's style, right? We know that. And he done that to Sam Goodman. And Sam Goodman was countering at times. Sam Goodman was boxing very good at times. A very good boxing performance from Sam Goodman, which is a shame because, he lost. I'm saying how good he done, but that really just shows the level at World Championship boxing, right? Sam Goodman was ripping body shots as well. This was a comment I made to Evan when we were talking about the fight, and it was just impressive that Sam Goodman was throwing these body shots, and Nick Ball was just kept going forward, kept applying pressure, kept throwing punches, kept throwing those combinations. Kept just generally pushed the pace and kept the pressure on, despite eating those body shots. Crazy level of conditioning these guys have. Insane level of conditioning. What's next for Nick Ball? It really depends on what route the promoter takes. Frank Warren, I believe his promoter is, he's saying that other world champions at featherweight don't want to unify against Nick Ball. Which, on one hand, I get, because Nick Ball is not an easy customer for anyone. Even if you beat Nick Ball, you're going to be in a war, I reckon. And he's not been beaten yet. So there is that. But there is also the fact that Sam Goodman had a lot of success against him. And TJ Doheny early on had a lot of success against him by being slick boxers. And, not necessarily giving Nick Ball the respect he demands. And, meeting him in the middle, pushing him back a bit, ripping those body shots like Sam Goodman was doing. Sam Goodman had success doing that. TJ Doheny had success doing that. By the back end of the fight, though, Nick Ball was able to be way more physical against TJ Doheny because he's a guy from the lower weight class and really just bully him and just manhandle him and eventually win that fight. But, again, there are things you can take from that. And the other champions at featherweight, Stephen Fulton, one of them, I think Stephen Fulton beats Nick Ball. I think he probably could box rings around him, right? And there's another world champion at featherweight. I forget who he is, so forgive me. But another guy at featherweight who'd be looking to probably outbox Nick Ball would be Bruce Carrington as well. And I'm surprised that Bruce Carrington's not been booked with a world title fight because he, in my opinion, is the best fighter at one. I don't even want to guess what weight division is that. 126. He's the only one at 126. He's the best fighter at 126 without a world title belt, in my opinion. Is Bruce Carrington. But we'll see what's next for Nick Ball. And in terms of what's next for Sam Goodman could go back down to super bantamweight, and I think he could call for an Iowa Inoue fight. After that sort of performance against the world champion at the weight division above, you're coming down with, even though you lost, but it was very close, arguably your stock's risen from that, which is rare in boxing. It's really rare that you lose and your stock rises. Right? So he's in with he's got a bit of a right to ask for that Naoya Inoue fight at super bantamweight after a loss at a loss against Nick Ball at featherweight. And Sam Goodman, like I said, he's big. You know, he looked big at featherweight against Nick Ball. Imagine him at the weight class below. He'd be big. If he can take Nick Ball's best shots, can he take Naoya Inoue's? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. So that's interesting. We've got to see that now. And hopefully we do. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys thought of that fight, that 12-round war. Do you think Nick Ball did enough to retain his championship, or do you think Sam Goodman deserved to take home the belt? I'll be curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.